Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm Andrew Wood, President of Legendary Marketing, and you're about to discover how to make your business the one they choose. In this seminar, I'm going to show you a new marketing tactic that will allow you to attract business like a magnet. It's a strategy that builds on itself and keeps getting better with everything you add. Best of all, it won't cost you a fortune, and you only have to do one thing. Just one thing. First, let's take a look at the business environment we're all working in today. Things are still tough out there. The economy's still poor. There's no real upside in sight. Spending is down. Competition is up. Discounting is rife. And many products and services are becoming commoditized. So, what's a person to do to compete? How do you compete in the face of all these negative factors that affect your business? First, let me ask you a question. Do people always buy the cheapest product? The best made product? Heck, even the product with the best value? The answer is no. If everybody bought the cheapest product, we'd all be driving Kias, eating a McDonald's, and wearing Timex watches. The fact of the matter is, you can differentiate. But what's a business to do to get a fair to premium price, to drive customer loyalty, and to do it without spending a fortune on marketing? I'll give you the answer to all these questions, but first, let me ask you a question. What's the difference between each of these three major airlines? Which one of these airlines gives you a memorable experience and creates an emotional response in their customer? American Airlines, Delta Airlines, or United Airlines? I'm sorry, it was a trick question. The fact is, they all suck. Their planes are the same, their check-in procedure is the same, their website is the same, and their customer service is just as poor from airline to airline. Instead of marketing from the inside out, these giant corporations spend millions and billions of dollars a year on TV ads and print ads to try and build their brand. But if I'd included Southwest, you might have said them immediately, because Southwest is different. Southwest, bags fly free. At Southwest, the general people that you'd interact with are generally more fun and more friendly. Their tickets are more flexible. You can trade them in or trade them up or exchange them without all the hassles of the major airlines. And the perception is that Southwest is actually cheaper, although in most cases, and I fly a lot, it's absolutely not true. It's just the perception. Southwest is the only major airline which over the last 20 years has made a profit most of those years, and it's the only major airline never to have gone bankrupt. Southwest does incredibly well because Southwest is different. Southwest markets from the inside out. Let's look at a different example. Let's look at the rental car business. If I was to say to you, what comes to mind when you think of Hertz, Avis, or Budget? Maybe something does, and maybe it's their slogan. Hertz says they're number one, Budget says they're cheap, and Avis says they try harder because they're number two. That's their corporate slogans. That's their USPs. But I rent a lot of cars, and I've tried them all, and I can tell you that you pretty much get the same car, the gray Chevy Fordo. Wow. And also, you get the same indifferent service. There's really nothing that differentiates any of those major car rental companies from each other. But recently, I've gone to National, and at National, you can actually go ahead and pick your car. You can go in, they give you a category, and I can tell you that their general attitude and their general approach to the customer is far, far different than what I've experienced with the bigger rental car companies. If you go to Enterprise Rent-A-Car will pick you up, which is often a problem. If your car breaks down, how do you then get to the rental car location? So Enterprise will come and pick you up. So those are two simple things that really, really differentiate those rental car companies from other rental car companies. Now, let's go ahead and look at how you can take this idea and apply it directly to your business so you can market from within, create an emotional bond with your customer, and create something special, something different. And very often it's going to be something that your customers can't actually put their finger on or wouldn't check a box in a survey. But they're going to vote with the most important thing of all, their wallet. So, last year I was in England and I went to take a golf lesson with a friend of mine. And after the golf lesson, my friend says, let's go out for dinner. I said, great. He suggested a local pub. So, went to the pub, was fine, decent food, decent service, and I disappeared to Spain for 6 weeks. So 6 weeks later, I came back to visit my friend again, and he suggested we go to a different place to eat. And I said, no, I want to go back to the same pub we ate at before. Was it the great food? Was it the sexy barmaid? Was it the ambiance? Was it the location? No, it was none of those things. It was the restrooms. I know that's a little weird, but anyway, we drove past a bunch of other pubs, went to this pub, and had a great meal. I spent £55 on the meal. I spent £25 on drinks, and I went back there, even though I couldn't remember the name of the pub or the location, simply because of the restrooms. So after dinner, I snuck off, took a picture of the restrooms. About a month later, I did the exact same thing in Las Vegas. And before you think I've got some weird toilet fetish, I want to show you a picture of the men's restroom at the Bell Inn. This is the men's restroom at the Las Vegas Hilton in the sports bar. Now, if I went back to Las Vegas, I would definitely want my friends to see this restroom. So I'd probably make that sports bar the one I went to out of the hundreds of sports bars I could choose in Las Vegas. But that restroom is cool enough where I would want to share it with whoever I was with, as long as I was with guys. So let's take a look at a couple more. Here's a New York nightclub. How about this one? This one's definitely a more sporting crowd. Now think about this. If you can make people show up at your business just because your toilet is cool, think how easy it's going to be if you take this principle and apply it to different parts of your business that are much, much sexier and much, much more interesting to most people. But you don't have to spend a fortune redoing your bathroom to make your bathrooms have a wow factor. You can do simple little changes, whimsical changes, fun changes, memorable changes to your entire business experience that connect with people in an emotional way that they very often can't articulate. So, for example, let's take a look at how we could attract the numbers crowd. How about the musical crowd? The artistic crowd? Or the Wall Street crowd? Now let's talk about presentation. I mean, hey, fancy toilet paper is cool, but let's think about the way we can present that toilet paper so that it gets an even bigger wow factor. This is an antique furniture store, this is a garden center, and this is a gym. Okay, let's take it up a notch. You've been to the bathroom, everybody washes their hands, right? Cool, cooler, and hot. So maybe none of these particular ideas work for you or your type of business. That's not the point. The point here is to get you thinking outside of the tee box and get you thinking about how you can emotionally impact your customers at just one level at every touch point in your business. How can you impact them in your parking lot? How can you impact them at your front desk, in your waiting room, in your bathroom? How can you impact them with your advertising so it stands out? With your Facebook posts, with your social media, with your sales presentation, with your follow-up. You're going to look at every single touch point and you're going to try and find a way to be memorable at every single touch point. You don't have to spend millions of dollars on capital improvements. You just need to look for one way you can be significantly more memorable than any of your competition. That's why I call it the one strategy. One way to be memorable in the bathroom. One way to be memorable in the waiting room. One way to be memorable in the parking lot, on the golf driving range, in the store, with the follow-up, with your packaging, with the bags you give them. The one strategy builds on itself and provides an unbeatable emotional connection with your business. So I've got two more strategies I wanted to share with you. I started in the toilet, so it's all up from here. The first thing I want to share with you is I do a lot of work in the golf industry, and I don't know if you've ever been to a golf course, but if you've been to a golf course and you've rented a golf cart or you've looked at the golf carts, what you're going to see is there are three major manufacturers, and pretty much every golf cart in the world is either beige or white or green, and barring a couple of logos, they all look identical. Boring, boring, boring. This is boring. Not so boring. Here, for a $300 decal, we can turn an ordinary golf cart into something that's a lot more fun, something that's a lot more memorable. Very forgettable, bunch of green golf carts in a row. Unforgettable, a little RV, Hummer SUV, whatever they call them. This is definitely something that is different. Dull. Bunch of white golf carts. Exciting, a Corvette golf cart. Same old, same old. Different. So I've played over 1,000 golf courses all over the world. And even though all these different type of golf vehicles, these fun golf vehicles exist, I've never ever been offered one. I've only been offered the standard white or green golf carts. Now think about this. If you owned a golf course and you just had 5 of these different types of golf carts, if you had 5 Corvettes or 5 mini Mercedes or 5 SUV looking things, don't you think there's a chance that even if you charged a premium for those golf carts, that some of the guys would want to rent them instead of the boring old white ones? And if the guys did rent them at a premium, don't you think they'd also take some pictures? Don't you think they'd share it on their social media? Don't you think it would add to the memorability and experience that they got at one golf course, which they can't get at another golf course? Hell yes, they would. It would make it much more memorable and much more exciting. Now let me give you another example. Food. In most restaurants, even good restaurants, the food is fairly average. In golf clubs, it's amazingly average. In airport lounges, it's terribly average. And I could go on, but for the most part, most of the restaurants out there have a very average experience. Even if the food is good, there's nothing that happens at the restaurant, there's nothing there that's particularly memorable. So I'd like to share with you a couple of things. And here's the interesting thing about the pictures I'm about to show you. I took these pictures while I was on vacation or while I was out and about. I had no thought of using these pictures in a book. I had no thought of using these pictures in a seminar. I took these pictures because the food and the drinks were really cool. And because they were really cool, I share them on social media just like you would. And my social media reach right now is over 700,000 people, potential reach. And so every one of these pictures of the food I'm about to show you and the drinks I'm about to show you has been seen by potentially 700,000 people on Facebook. I've also emailed them to people, I've blogged them, I've tweeted them. I'm now using it in a seminar that'll be seen thousands of times. And that's exactly what your customers do too. If you impress them, if you wow them with one thing, they will take that one thing, they will share it with their friends, and you'll get a viral marketing effect that, quite frankly, money can't buy. So let me show you a couple of pictures right now of some of my favorite food experiences. We have a local restaurant near my house that is a nice restaurant. It's an upscale restaurant. It serves good food. The food is not particularly memorable. The location is nice. The service is decent. But what they do have that's incredibly memorable, and why I go back there again and again, especially when I have guests, because I want to share this one item, just one item, and the whole menu that I want to share with my guests. And what it is a 6-pack of appetizers. It's a little tray with individual appetizers, and the individual appetizers are served in shot glasses, and it could be one shrimp cocktail, it could be gazpacho, it could be a little tiny French onion soup, or it could be sirloin tips. But every time it is memorable, and they do a 6-pack one and a 12-pack one. Let's take a look. Okay, here's another example. This example is from a golf course that I went to in England. It's a 5-star hotel, and like most, or maybe a 4-star hotel, like most 4-star hotels, they've got their kind of formal dining room, which was alarmingly average. They had their bar, which was also fairly average, but what they did have on the menu, which I had 3 nights in a row because it was so awesome, is they had a set tapas plate, and the tapas plate was great. It was presented beautifully. It had a lot of different flavors on it. It was well priced, and I had it 3 nights in a row because it was so great. Let's take a look at the tapas plate. All right, here's a simple one. This is a simple one that I recommend for a lot of my clients to put on the menu because it's so outrageous and it's so tasty and it's so cheap, and there's also so much profit on it. And I don't know if you've ever had this at a fair somewhere, but a giant barbecue turkey leg. You get one of those, you see people walking around with them, you go, gee, that looks cool. You know, they're the size of a big club and covered in barbecue sauce, and they're very healthy and they're nutritious and they're cheap. And so giant turkey leg, that's just something you could put on the menu that would stand out. Now let's turn to drinks. I'm going to give you 2 examples of drinks. When somebody walks into your restaurant, if they say to you, or you walk into a restaurant and you say, what's the best thing on the menu, and they can't answer that, it's really the kiss of death. Because you need to have one thing on the menu where people will drive thousands of miles just to taste Mama's homemade soup, or thousands of miles to get this. You've got to have something on the menu that's so outstanding that people will share it with their friends. Now, obviously, if you could have 2 or 3 things on the menu that people would share, it would be even better. But let's just start with one. You need one thing on the menu that is so outstanding, that is so different, that's so beautifully served that people will photograph it and share it on their social media. Now let's take a look at drinks. What's your signature drink? If you run a restaurant, you run a bar, you run a golf club, what is your signature drink? What is the one drink you've got to try if you go to that location? And again, we got a little local place, and it just burnt down, actually, which is very sad. But local place was called the Margarita Grill. And the reason you went to the Margarita Grill was for the margaritas. They have these giant sombrero margaritas. And every time you're in the Margarita Grill, you see 2 people, 3 people sharing a margarita. You see people taking pictures. You see people sharing it right there in the restaurant on their social media, creating hundreds and thousands of dollars of free advertising for a very average place with a very cool drink. Let's take a look. All right, I've just got one more drink to show you. This year, last year actually, when I was over in Belgium, in the town of Bruges, which is a wonderful place if you ever get a chance to visit, they serve their beer there at a lot of restaurants in a really cool glass. I mean, the beer is great anyway. Belgian beer is very good, but serving it in this cool glass just made it even better. Just looking at it now, I want one. Actually, truth be told, I think I had 3, but look at this glass. If you saw this glass and you're a beer drinker, wouldn't you want to taste the beer in this glass? And that's what I'm talking about. One thing, whether it's your bathroom, whether it's your menu, whether it's the dress your people wear, but you've got to look at all your customer touch points and start with just one thing that's totally outstanding. Okay, so I've given you, 3 or 4 examples. We started a little more, really. We started with restrooms, actually toilets, then we talked about the taps, then we talked about the wash basins, we talked about toilet paper, we talked about golf carts, we talked about food, we talked about drinks. I've got literally hundreds more examples I could give you because the one strategy doesn't stop anywhere. It's every touch point. That means you have to have an outstanding advertising campaign, an outstanding Facebook page, something that people are going to share and engage with every day. It means that you have to have outstanding email communication, that the communication is entertaining, that it's educational, that it's engaging, that it gets the person in the right frame of mind. One quick other example, signage. How many times do you go into a business and there's negative signage? I hate that. Negative signage in a business. How you communicate your procedures and policies says a great deal about your business. Let's take a look at a cool example here. This is one way to state the problem. And this is another way to ask people to do the very same thing. Now, which of these 2 golf clubs or these 2 organizations do you think has a better attitude? Which of these 2 organizations do you think you want to be part of? And which of these 2 organizations do you think is probably a little fuddy-duddy, a little draconian, a little dry, and maybe not the type of people you want to be involved in? So every part of your business, the one strategy applies to every part of your business. It applies from when they get to your business, from the parking lot to the lobby, to the first person they talk to. Whatever business you're in, this can be applied. It doesn't matter what type of business you're in, doctor, lawyer, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, you can apply this one strategy to every part of your business. Now, couple more things. Number 1, if you would like to get this entire PDF presentation, I'll give you the whole PDF presentation absolutely free. All you need to do is go to Facebook/Legendary Marketing and you can download the entire PDF as my gift to you. If you're in the golf business, I would also suggest that you check out the manual. I have a dedicated manual. It's a 250-page manual with hundreds of ideas on how you can immediately execute the one strategy. Doesn't matter whether it's a private club, a daily fee club, or a resort. There's strategies for everybody. You can order that at legendarymarketing.com. Just go to the shopping tab. I also have a generic version of this coming out for those of you that are not involved in the golf business, and that'll also be available at legendarymarketing.com shortly. And last but not least, if you'd like to take this to the next level, if you'd like to execute the one strategy in your company and get some immediate benefits, some immediate results of making your business the one they choose, I'm available for both consulting and working with you on a long-term basis to help you achieve these results. There is nothing you can do in the name of marketing that will get you a greater return on investment than marketing from the inside out and adopting the one strategy.